Bang! Neves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, Kara, is busy. And this is the Civivi Brazen versus the Civivi Riffle. Now, the Civivi Brazen is not out yet, but, well, at least the drop point version, because this is the drop point version, but it will be out any day now. Very soon. It will be this month, sometime in April. So, definitely keep your eye out for it because it'll probably sell out pretty quick. Now, I just want to say that these knives are very, even though they're different knives and there's so many differences, there's so many similarities. So there's a lot of things I can't even put in this video. I didn't write anything down. We're just going right off of the cuff. So bear with me on this because I don't know which one's going to win. But there's so many things that are the same. Like they both have internal stop pins. So neither one can win for the stop pin category. They both have the same hardware. They're both done by Civivi. Yes, this one has blacked out hardware. Yes, this one's just stainless. So, you know, it's just kind of which one you like better. Both the same clip. I mean, you know, so I can't really compare those two. So the clip, the hardware, and stop pin is going to be the same. Now, when we get into blades, they're both 14C28N blade steel, but we will still be able to go through the grinds, the choil, etc. But first, let's start with materials, aside from the 14C28N, because Civivi is doing an incredible job with their 14C28N. They're supposedly they're heat treating it between 60 and 63, which I 100% believe. It is done so good. Man, it's done so good. It comes up to such a nasty, sticky edge. But their handle materials, this one's G10. This one's micarta. So I like micarta better than G10. Yes, G10 is probably a little tougher, but I just like micarta better, you know? So if you like G10 better, then you'll like, you know, G10 better. That's up to you. But for me, I'm going to pick the micarta. Next, let's talk about this the liners here. So they're both liner locks, but they are a little different. So this one's more of a straightforward liner, and even though it still has great access to the liner, so very easy to still get to. Very easy to get to. But this one is slightly better. It's just it's rounded, and your finger fits in there really good. It's very comfortable to unlock. This one's very comfortable to unlock too, but this one's just slightly better. So I guess 1-to-1 right now. Yeah, it's just slightly more comfortable. Now let's go over the action and then we'll go over the grinds. So the action, this one's going to be very tough. I mean, very, very tough because this is a reverse flicking hole. Okay, and this one's thumb studs. So let's go over the flipper tab first. So the flipping action on both of these is very, very good. I mean, very, very good. It's hard to say which one's better, but I will say this one, even though they're very similar, if you actually look at them, the flipper tabs, this one right here, my finger gets blocked right there. So when I go like this little corner tends to poke my finger a little bit. Now, it's not bad. It doesn't hurt, but I feel it. You know, it's there. Not that big of a deal. It still has amazing flipping action. But this one, I don't get that. My finger lands right on top, nice and comfortably. So I'm going to give the flipping action to the Brazen for that reason. And that reason only. Other than that, I mean, you know, they're both very nice to flip. So let's talk about the flicking action. So obviously, if you like to thumb flick more than reverse flick, then you're going to pick the Brazen because this one's thumb flick is way better than this one. I mean, you can thumb flick this and slow roll it, but it's not ever going to be as good as a thumb stud. And this thumb stud is really good, really well placed, very easy to get to, very grippy, and you have a ton of leverage in it. And you can slow roll. The detent is nice. Both of these detents are really good. So neither one is better for detents. But for thumb flicking, definitely the Brazen. Now, reverse flicking, it's going to have to go to the Riffle because this one has a hole. Now, you can reverse flick this still very easily. I mean, it's incredibly easy. Your finger lands in a good place on the thumb stud. The thumb stud is nice and grippy. It's well done, well placed, and very easy. But a reverse flicking hole, to me, I just find it a little bit more enjoyable. And in this case, you can use the meat of your finger, or you can use the nail in the bigger, you know, area. So, what is that? Flipper tab on this one, thumb on this one, reverse flicking on this one. Now, let's talk about the drop when you unlock it. So, the detent is nice and early on this guy, and it's very smooth. But in this one, it's smoother. So the Brazen takes the drop. So I'll just say this. Honestly, I like the Riffle's action a little bit better, but on paper, this one would win. Because if I go over the specs and everything, the Brazen wins, right? I just went over it. But I like reverse flicking. I just do. I don't mind slow rolling instead of thumb flicking, and I can thumb flick if I want to. It's just not as good as this. But let me just say, if you love thumb studs, this is great. So it's kind of like, if you like thumb studs more than a hole, then you're going to pick the Brazen. If you like a hole more than thumb studs, then you're probably going to pick the Riffle. You know, and I like them both, to be honest. I love thumb studs and I love a hole, but this one wins on paper. This one I like better. Have you ever had that where it's like, yeah, on paper this one wins, but I just like this one more? And really, drop shutty doesn't really mean a lot, but this one is a lot smoother. I mean, this one's still very smooth. I mean, very, very smooth. But this one's a little bit smoother. Okay. So, blade. This one's tough because they both have amazing grinds. They're both 14C28N. Let's check out the geometry. So the blade stock thickness, I think they are the same. This one looks thinner from the naked eye, but I think they are the same. I'll have to look at that on paper, at the specs. But the geometry, they're both really good. Really, really good. But I'm going to say the Riffle is a little bit better. And I think it's because it's a tall flat grind right here, while this one's not a full flat. Even though this one isn't a full flat here, so right here, the Brazen does have it in geometry, just right there. But once you get out here, the Riffle has it. Let's check out the tips really quick. Which one's going to be better for acute cutting? So this one, I already know this one does utility cuts a little bit better, but this one's still no slouch, and it still does them very good. But it's just because it's basically all belly. This one has that straight and then the small belly up to the tip. So it's just a little bit better for utility cuts. But for slicing, I think the Riffle's going to take that, even though they are very, very close. Push cuts, and we'll get into ergos here in a second. Push cuts, I'm going to give them a tie, even though this one has thumb studs. You know, if you push cut the right way, you should never really hit it too much. And this one doesn't have anything in the way, so actually, really, this one might win. But for geometry, we'll just call it geometry, the Riffle. Now, the sharpening choil. I had to add a sharpening choil in the Riffle. This one I did not yet, even though this one's not the best sharpening choil either, which I don't know how they messed this up on such incredible knives, because Civivi does incredible sharpening choils, but these ones suck. This one I had to put one in, and this one you can see how close it is to the plunge grind. Like literally you're going to get a couple edges out of it before it's going to start creating a smile. So I'm still going to give it to the Riffle because in this case I did have to put one in here, and then this one I didn't yet. And they both had one good solid edge put on. Now, before I get into ergos, I just want to say I should do a comparison between the Sencut Actium and the Brazen, because these two have a lot of similarities. So many similarities. They're both amazing knives, and I really love the Actium and this one, so that would have been probably even a better comparison video, but I think people as of right now want to see this one. We'll do that one later. But okay, next, ergos. This one's tough, man. really tough because they are both so good. So good. I really like neutral grips because this one's more flat and it's very neutral right here, right? It does have this little turn right there, but it just locks you in really good. And the jimping is better on the riffle. It's just better jimping, and it goes up high, right where my thumb lands. In this case, the jimping's back here more. So, and you know, yeah, maybe you hold your knife like that, but I tend to go like this, which I'm kind of past the jimping at that point. But it's still decent jimping, but it's not as good as the riffle. So the jimping definitely goes to the riffle, but holding it in my hand, in this grip, they're both extremely good. But since this one has neutral grips, this one's probably going to be a little bit better, you know, flipping it around. Like so, like let's check this grip out. That's really good. But the riffle, in my opinion, is just a little bit better. My thumb just lands right over that spine. This one's still good, but not as good. Now for pull cuts, the riffle. So, and it has to do with this little spot right here from here to here. You know, this one doesn't have that. So, man. But, you know, in hand right here, this one feels contoured. You know, just holding it like this, I feel like this one might win. But, and I do feel the jimping right there. Oh, it's so tough. I'm going to give it to the riffle because I have more options of grip. And they're both extremely comfortable like this. They're both so comfortable like that that I can't really say which one wins in this grip. Maybe it's the riffle. I'm just going to give it to the riffle. I'm just going to give it to it because I have more options and they're so close like this. I feel the clip on both of them, but I really like neutral grips. So I don't mind finger guards and stuff, but in this case, the riffle. So this last one is very subjective, the look. Which one looks better? I'm going to say they both look really good. They're both great looking knives. But I like my micarta better. I'm going to say the riffle just because it just, to me, I like the look of my micarta, so it automatically beats it. Man, this thing is so good though. It looks good too. It's a great looking knife, but damn it. So all in all, we'll just close it here. If you were following along, then you probably already know which one you like better, because a lot of these things are so subjective. You know, they're so similar in so many ways, but there's just little details that make it to where I prefer one over the other, and it's hard. It's very hard to pick. I will say with the choil thing though, if you do want to add a choil in later, you can on either one of these. There's nothing getting in the way. So it works out. And what I'm talking about is there's no stop pin right here blocking it. So if you did cut in your own sharpening choil, it won't mess up the closing of the knife, because they have internal, external stop pins that go around, and they're right there. They're both the same way. You can see it. Man, these things are so good. It's just, it's so hard to pick. So the price is about the same on these. I think this one's 50, this one's 55. I'm not sure if this is going to come out with micarta or not, but as of right now, I think it's G10 14C28M for 50 bucks. And then this one's micarta in 14C for 55 bucks. So I almost want to give the value to the riffle, but it's basically about the same, you know. So I mean, that's on you. I would say the riffle's possibly a little bit better value. Aside from the price, the riffle would win on paper, but if you add in the value, then it would be neck to neck, a tie. I think all in all, I would pick the riffle. But, you know, following along, you know, you're going to have to choose that for yourself of which one, which category. I think I showed enough to really show which one is better in which area. But, you know, a lot of them are very subjective. So you're going to have to pick which one you like better than the other and which one you prefer. They're both great. But me, I think I'm going to go with the riffle. all in all, but you know, this would be so close second that if, you know, that's why it's like, if you told me that you like the Brazen better, I couldn't do anything but agree with you, because they're so nose to nose. It's like a photo finish to the line, and we're arguing of whose nose was bigger, you know. So there you guys go. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.